Okay, I'm Sidhi the She, and I'm going to give you a informational. Now, the other things that I've been working on are so many things, but the point of them. Okay, this hat. When I wear this hat, it is Rumpelstiltskin, the king of the imps. Now, it is Halloween tomorrow, and imps love the day before Halloween. The day before Halloween is known as Gate Night. And anyone who's nasty to children, well, the children go out on the night before Halloween with a dozen eggs. And they egg the houses of adults who are mean to children. So, if you see eggs on someone's house, it means they're mean. Okay, what else happens? Let's see. It's also known as All Souls Night, when the veils between this world and other worlds are very thin, and perhaps even the King of Imps could pop through the veil from his kingdom to ours. Should you be worried? No, the King of Imps is very friendly to children. To adults, however, he does a great inspection of you up and down, and he checks his files to see what you've been up to. And he's got an agenda, the King of the Imps. And his agenda is his, and he doesn't tell you what it is, but he does have an agenda, and generally, well, he wants things better for trees. He is very much into forested areas, and it's his special place. Now, what else did I want to tell you? Okay, so as you can see, we have a dragon here. This dragon is mostly a friendly dragon. However, I did hear a story today about a really unbelievably nasty dragon. So, how do you know if a dragon is a good dragon or not? I suppose by their activities. Insufficient data to tell you too much more than if there are real dragons, be wary of them. It doesn't mean that you might not become friends, but they're kind of like someone else's dog. Someone else's dog is always a question mark. Is someone else's dog might be friendly to you or might not like you at all. And why, I don't know the minds of dogs. But in my experience, sometimes dogs just don't like me. And I'm not an unlikable person, but I have dogs that have really taken a dislike to me, perhaps because I'm just strange. And they're guard dogs. So, what does it mean? I don't know. That's all I'm going to tell you. But as far as seeing this one, this is from. I'm sorry, we're getting a lot of reflections here. Let's see. This is from the Tarot of the She, and it is mostly about messages. Messages and swift progress. So, that is the tarot card for the day. This is the Tarot of the She. Once again, I'm having trouble with reflections. Even when I move it this way. There, it's pretty good there. Tarot of the She. Okay, the She are like the fairy people. And what else can I tell you about reflections? Oh, what I learned recently was the reason that there are so many people is because they are all reflections of you. And it helps us learn about ourselves to be in relationships with many other people. Some people don't have very many relationships, they're very much stuck in their castle and really don't have too many people around them. or maybe they've got pets, or maybe they're just isolated. The point of having other people around, for me, um, everyone has a message for you. Everyone? Well, I mean, if you go into a crowded pub, does everyone in the bar have a message for you? Not necessarily. Who has a message for you? Anyone who's wearing a t shirt that's got something written on it has got a message for you. I always get embarrassed because I always want to read people's t-shirts, even people that I've never seen before, and I always think if I'm looking at them too much, they're going to get weirded out. But I do try to surreptitiously see what's on the t-shirt because it's a message for me. And so also hats. And if people are just wearing, sometimes my eyes are drawn to odd things like the color of their shoes and whether their shoes are new, old, dirty, or clean. Now, someone who wouldn't be of any interest to me at all would be someone I don't know who is wearing maybe a plain um, dark blue t shirt, dark blue sweatpants, and in other words, there's no messages written on them, and I'm not drawn to walk anywhere near them. They're just like a plain person. In that case, unless I'm walking, through my normal path and, that person comes up to me, which is unlikely, that person doesn't have a message for me. Who else might have messages for me? Oh, well, if I go into the bathroom, I go into the men's room, and sometimes you're standing there having a pee, a whiz or something, and a person is in there and they'll start talking to you. That's always noted. I note everything that goes on when I'm out because everything has a meaning, and sometimes it could be years later that you'll remember someone you met and said something to, or they said something to you for in a men's room 3 cities over 25 years ago, and that will be important. So, do you have to be concerned about your memory? Not at all. We are brainwashed into thinking that our memories get worse with age, or if we're really drunk, we're not going to remember something, because that tends to be our in linear fashion. That seems to be how things go. But don't worry, there is a plan for putting it all together, and who's in charge of it? It's not your little ego. Your little ego's job is to pay attention, and it's going to pay attention anyway. So basically, you're just going to sit back and enjoy the ride. Now, the reason when I said some word and it doubled, it's like you skip or you stutter. It's significant. So the word I think was fashion. I don't know, but pay attention to fashion. And it is Halloween, so pay attention to Halloween fashion. And I said yesterday that if you do go out for Halloween, try and dress as a mythological creature or someone from the movies who's iconic, someone recognizable. Anyway, do what you do anyway. I mean, I try and give you these hints and allegations. Go into a used clothing store and see if there's something interesting there. Okay, the next question we're going to talk about is quest. So I'm going to go on a quest, and I'm putting on a beer hat because I'm going to be hanging out in a pub in a town called Bree, Bree. Now, I'm not going to tell you where Bree is, but if you go onto the internet and get a search engine and look up Bree, it will tell you where Bree is, and that's where I hang out. And in this pub in Brie, I'm going to order not some chicken dinner. I'm going to have some chocolate fudge. And I'm going to not be drinking ale. Or beer. I'm going to be drinking not whiskey sour. and not scotch. I'm going to be having black coffee, no sugar, no cream, and I'd like to have a thermos to refill it. I'm going to be sitting on a wooden bench, and it's going to be a wooden table, rough hewed. In other words, it's not going to be a polished wood table like this one. It's going to be just rough, It's like in the olden days when they didn't have fine saws for cutting things precisely. It's very rough. So I'm going to have to be careful. I might have to get a coaster to put my coffee on so it doesn't tip because the table is going to be very rough. And in this pub, there's a large fireplace on one wall, very large. And there's going to be, it's candlelit. It's not electrically driven at all. There is a kitchen, and in the kitchen, it's a wood fired stove. The bathroom is not in this building. If you have to go for a bathroom break, you have to go out of the pub and pass the alley into the house next door. It is a small house known as a biffy or outhouse. What else? Well, let's go back into the pub. Now, this pub has got a bar, and there is a barmaid there. She has a black dress on and also a white fronting on the white dress. She's got like a white cap on, and she's like the German Hofbrauhaus girls. So her dress sleeve comes down to about a quarter here, and this part is white. And then she has bare arms. The rest of it is bare arm. Where my sweater is, that's all bare arm. She's just hanging out behind the bar. She's cleaning things. She's got dish towels to clean. And in the pub, there are people smoking. They are smoking pipes. So no, in this place, there's no cigarettes. There's pipes, and it's sweet tobacco. It's like, pipe tobacco has got a nice sweet smell to it. Most of the people are drinking beer or ale in this pub. It's not very full. It's about 25% full. It's about 7 o'clock at night. And we have, candles on the tables and in wall sconces. And there's a big chandelier that's got candles. And no, there's no electrical. It must have 35 candles in the chandelier. And what they do is it's on a chain. And when they want to light the candles, they lower the chain so it gets right down low so that the barmaid can come over and light the candles. And then she pulls on the cord and it raises it up, way up, so that it casts a lot of light. What else is going on? The people at the bar generally are drinking beer. And as I said, there is really not much in the way of hard alcohol available. It's just not that kind of a pub. There's no one playing cards. There is no one playing piano. There will be some musicians coming in by about 6 o'clock. So at 7 o'clock, and the musicians have not shown up. So I've noted that, and I'm not the owner of this pub, so it's really not too much concern to me, but I did note that. As far as paintings on the wall, yes, there's some odd paintings. There's a skunk painting on one wall, and the name of the pub is nothing to do with skunks, and I can't tell you the name of the pub. Let's see, what else is here? No one's reading newspapers. People here actually don't know how to read. Let's see. They do like to talk. Gossip is the main business in the town of Bree. Bree is a kind of a trading place. There is a bakery that bakes very lovely bread, and the beer is made in Brie. Let's see. There is well, this pub has attached to it. It's a rooming house. So if you want a room for the night, you can stay. There is also, it's quite a large facility. Close by, there's a livery stable, which is a place where you can um, put your horse. There's quite a few horses in the livery stable, and there's boys there that their job. You give them a coin, and they will rub down your horse and feed it oats or whatever you prefer. There are no automobiles in Brie. Everything is either ox cart or horse. Let's see. Yes, Brie is surrounded by farmlands where all the different foodstuffs are grown. It's a pretty good growing season in Brie. It's fairly green. Um, it doesn't have much of a winter. Occasionally, it does snow in December, January, but it's only maybe 3 inches. It gets a cold wind in those months, but uh, we would say it would be quite chilly. You'd have to wear a warm cloak and woolen things. But the rest of the year, it's never really hot. What else can you? Oh, there's woodlands around, vast woodlands. The area that it's in is not greatly settled. The town itself might have. It's hard to say how many people actually live there. There's so many people that come and go, though. So not that more people come and go than actually live there. And um, I'm there in Brie, as I said, to gather gossip, which is basically information. And when you go and listen to a lot of gossip, your eyes tend to glaze over because mostly it's about someone who's, interested in someone else because they want a romance or something. And that's not the kind of things I'm looking for. I'm looking for more and more information about weird things going on, unexplained events, things that people come running in. You say, and they say to you, "You should come out and look at this," or these kind of stories. And I might say, "Very well," and I will get up and I will. Sometimes I take my boots off because when I'm sitting for a long time, I've got leather boots and my feet tend to sweat. And so I take them off. They're, well, kind of like modern day cowboy boots, but not quite. Mm, They're handmade by a cobbler. I paid a lot of money for them. Anyways, I would put my boots on and go out with the person to see what they have to see. And most of the time, it's something stupid, like a horse has thrown a horseshoe or something. But I'm really looking very interested in people who come to town because I want to check them out. My job is a mystery. People know that I always pay my bills, and as far as what I tell them, I'm a merchant. And the main reason I come to Bree is to buy and sell things. But I don't really do much buying and selling when I'm in Bree. I'm mostly in the pub or, snooping around. Let's see, I do stay in the rooming house usually, and I do have a horse. Most people do know me and Bree, and I'm just known as, I'm not going to tell you the name. That's about all I'm going to tell you about Brie. Now I'm going to move on to the next topic. So I'm going to change hats. Okay, so we're not talking about Brie anymore, and we're going to talk about. This is a Nike symbol. And when we were looking at the tarot card, we said business is going to be swift. So this Nike, this is really difficult, but this is all about the reflections of other people reflecting things for you. Some people say they're reflections of you. Yes, but they're also bringing you information because they're advancing a story. You, in particular, need to pay attention because the story is, most people, I don't think they even know there's a story going on to their lives. Even the most boring people have a story going on that they don't know about because they don't pay attention. So anyway, swift things are coming to pass. And the next thing we're going to talk about is quest. So like the knights of the olden days, your job is to go on a quest. I think the first thing you should do is quest to find out what is the story that's going on around me. Now most people would say, well, I live in a city, town, or farm village, and it's very normal, I've got a normal just like everybody else. No, that's not what you're going to get from a quest. The quest is going to give you a bigger story. It's going to be not so much anything other than a story that you never even knew was going on, because you're brainwashed to believe we live in a high-tech society. It's 2019, and no. You are going to find out that things are not as they seem in your life, and perhaps we're not even in the world that you thought you were in. That is what leads us to the next topic, and I'm going to see what comes up. Someone wants to talk about and what does it mean? Well, it could be Jim Beam Whiskey, or it could be Justin Belieber. I don't know, but JB or BJ might also be, if you turn it in reverse. BJ, if I can get it right. So, and we don't know what BJs mean, and we don't know anything other than those are the letters on this hat. Okay, and I was going to talk about Magix. We spell Magix Magix, because that's the way Rumpelstiltskin, the king of the imps, spells them. And the king of the imps knows more magic than anyone else that I know of. Although there are other ones who are mysteries to even Mr. Rumpelstiltskin. And we'll tell you, there's one that we call Rare Earth, who is the most unusual personality, and that one is such a mystery we can't crack it. So it's also on our to-do list to figure out what else we can learn about Rare Earth. Laurent is one of our people, and he also he's very intuitive. Rumpel is a different kind of personality than Laurent. Laurent just talks and laughs, and he blurts things out, and we go, what? And I don't know where he gets his things. He's just got an intuition that's just bang up. And so we always listen because, well, it just happens. He blurts things out. And the indications are he knows more about Magix than he lets on. What do I know about Magix? I'm a human being. I don't know anything about magics. Nothing at all. I'm always amazed because I do see magics go on, but I don't know how to do magics at all. And Uncle Rumpel doesn't tell me how to do it. Does he do it? Oh, yes. Rumpelstiltskin knows how to do magic things. And, well, Laurent, on the other hand, he's somewhat of a new character to us, and we don't know what he can do. And as far as this costume, this is Sidhi the She. And Sidhi the She is, someone says, a personality that is kind of unknown. He hangs out with someone we call Jacob B. Ing, and Jacob tutors Sidhi the She. So if you ever out and you see someone wearing this kind of burgundy and black or very dark blue, that is a clue about Sidhi the She, and perhaps just people like that. And if you see people wearing hoodies a lot, some people love to wear hoodies, and some people never seem to wear hoodies. If people wear hoodies, pay attention to those people, because they're much more likely to be interested in magics than people who don't. That's all I've got for now. Okay, the next thing I want to tell you is inspecting people is a way to find out if they have got problems with their posture. Quite a few people have got back troubles, and quite a few. What does that mean? It means you have to figure out what is going on with humans, because plenty of them have got problems that are maybe not back troubles, but so many myriads of problems of people that they go to the doctor and they take this, that prescription, this one, that one, and quite often the problems don't get solved. So in the olden days, you might go and see a healer of some type. These days, I don't know, holistic healing, it's usually like nutrition and herbs. But what other kinds of healers are there? Energy healers. Seers. A seer is someone who has got extrasensory vision, and they can see parts of you that's not visible to the normal human eye. And a seer can, well, you might not believe what they tell you. And it's not going to do you any good unless the seer can direct you to someone who is able to fix whatever it is that they see. Because otherwise, what's the point? So if the seer can heal, that's wonderful. Or if they know of someone who's a healer and they can tell the healer what needs to be healed, a medical intuitive is another name. And I suppose they probably need a good history of people who can verify that whatever they saw and came up with were accurate, and it helped them get a healing. Otherwise, it's pretty much worthless. Science and magic. What is the relationship? I usually say it's Arthur C. Clarke, but I could be wrong. The famous sci-fi novelist said, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Which implies that the only way to make magic happens is that you have to have a very high technology. They always say high technology, meaning, well, what's low technology? A lever is low technology. You just need a long wooden staff, and you need like a little stone to use as the lever, and then you move the staff, and you can exert a great force on something with a long wooden staff. Pretty low technology. High technology might be lasers, although lasers have been around a very long time. We still consider them to be high technology, etc. So, can you have magic without technology? What is your definition of magic? Okay, so this is my 1911 dictionary. It's an Oxford dictionary, and I'm looking up magic. Okay, so magic is the pretended art of influencing course of events by occult control of nature or of spirits. Witchcraft involving invocation of devils, angels, inexplicable or remarkable influence producing surprising results. So then I turn to the next page. And I come down to this word here. Hopefully you can see it. And it says Mahatma. Esoteric Buddhism, one of a class of persons with preternatural powers supposed to exist in India and Tibet. Preternatural means out of the ordinary, exceptional, abnormal, surpassing what is normal or usual, transcending the natural order, supernatural. So it's funny, this 1911 Oxford Dictionary says magic is the pretended art. And then the very next page, they've got Mahatma, and it's one of a class of persons with preternatural powers. So under magic, they say it's a pretend thing. And under Mahatma, they say there's no... All they say is it's one of a class of persons with preternatural powers. So, in other words, it's real. So, why is that? I don't know. 1911 was an interesting time because you can see this book. It's very old. It's been all taped up, but that's the Concise Oxford Dictionary, 1911. And what do we know about 1911? Well, it was the very beginning of automobiles. They had the telegraph. I don't think they had the radio. I could be wrong on that. Definitely had the telegraph. But did they believe in magic in 1911? Do people believe in magic today? Is magic real? I say it is real. Is it technological? Well, we do see, if I was to show someone this smartphone, let's say 1950, well, they would look at it and say, oh my God, that's magic. If you could, show a video on a smartphone to someone from 1950, they would consider it, where did that come from? But the strangest thing I saw was the 1969 movie 2001: A Space Odyssey by Stanley Kubrick. 1969 was when it was made, and they had kind of a space shuttle that would take you out into orbit. So it was a plane, an airplane, a space plane in essence. And they showed someone traveling on the space plane. They had a stewardess. Back in those days, they called them stewardesses if they were females, and pretty much were all females. It was a very sexist thing, being someone to serve you on a plane. Really, not, the pilots were male and the serving staff were female. Very sexist. But the thing that struck my eye was on the back of the seat in front of the person traveling on the space plane, they had a flat screen TV. Flat screen TVs didn't exist in 1969 in regular life. And if you flew on a plane in 1969, they didn't have a television on the back of a aircraft seat ahead of you. It was decades later before those flat screen TVs were put on the back of planes, and they're commonplace now. But 1969, but they had it. So how did the people who created that movie, how did they get this idea about putting a flat screen TV on the back of a seat in 1969? Flat screen TVs didn't exist. Well, maybe they thought in the future we're going to make these screens smaller. Anyway, it's just a very strange thing. The reverse of that is called an anachronism. So if you took a smartphone and you had it in 1950, that would be called, is that right? Anachronism is when some kind of a thing is in a time period it doesn't belong to. On YouTube, there's some strange videos. There's one of an early movie back in black and white movies. Perhaps it wasn't even a talking movie. It was black and white, but there's looks like someone walking in the background on a movie set with a smartphone. Anachronism. Anachronism. Chron is like Chronos. Chronos would be the Greek god of time. So something out of time. Well, what does it all mean? We were talking about Magix. Can you have Magix without technology? Everything happens in consciousness. So I'm going to say yes, you can do it if you have a consciousness ability to change things. I mean, even in this dictionary, they said using devils or demons or angels. So in other words, maybe humans don't have these powers, but these other types of beings do. And then the Mahatma Gandhi, the great spiritual leader of India, they gave him the name Mahatma. But I don't know of any stories of Mahatma Gandhi having superpowers, but there's plenty of spiritual stories about people from India who do have extraordinary powers. And if you want to read about them, then you can look into this book, Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. And it's all about spiritual people in India who have what we would call superpowers. So, and those superpowers are not considered to be technological. They come from being, I guess they start off on the path of sainthood, which is being kind to everything. And now the only caveat I have is this new theory, relatively new theory, about the nature of our reality, and that is that we live in a computer simulation. And if our reality is all run on some kind of super quantum computers or something we don't have names for, but everything is informational, it's another theory, information theory of reality, information can be processed on computers, and so you could create an illusion of magic because our reality is running on some kind of a virtual reality, but we don't know about it. Anyway, that's all for you to digest. I'm going to finish you off with something from Harry Potter. I'm just going to turn to a page at random, and I got Illegal Dragon. I thought it said illegal drug when I first flipped up to it, but it said Hagrid and something to do with illegal dragon in his hut. So I keep coming back to dragons. As you'll remember earlier, we had from Tarot of the She this dragon that I can't get rid of this reflection. And finally, I will give you that Warrior 8. Swifter than an arrow, I, racing fearless through the sky. Fire runs in my noble veins. Who else could hold the dragon's reins? Keywords: rapid progress, swift, messages, news, travel, rushing, spontaneity. And one last thing, I want to talk about solidity. There apparently was some disagreement between some unbelievably great polymaths. Those are people who are intelligent in more than one field. Gottfried Leibniz, it's a German word, I don't know how to pronounce it. Leibniz discovered calculus at the same time as Sir Isaac Newton did. Leibniz was in Germany and Isaac Newton was in England. And this came out of this old dictionary. Leibniz, I don't know, maybe that's not true. The problem I have is quite often I get myself into trouble because I start saying things and then I go, I'm not sure if that's correct. I know I got Leibniz on my smartphone, and why would I say that I got it out of that book? It's because I'm being interfered with. I have this problem quite a bit. Who's interfering with me? It's most likely someone who doesn't like me. And they start playing with my mind. However, Leibniz said he had no problem with the idea that two bodies could occupy the same space, whereas someone else, I can't remember who it was, said that was the definition of matter. In other words, or bodies, maybe it was bodies, but you couldn't have two bodies in the same space. Leibniz says you could. And I couldn't find any references beyond that. It was a Wikipedia